So when I talk about integrity, I'm talking primarily about you being in congruence with your word, of course, so that thought, word, and deed are aligned. I'm also talking about the integrity that comes when we are current with everything in our lives. And it's really easy to lose track of the many, many creations that we put out into the world, especially as entrepreneurs, right? We're creative beings, and we have this aspect of ourselves called the initiator. Now, raise your hand if you get a lot of awesome ideas for your business and get super inspired all the time. It's like, oh, I could do this workshop. Oh, I could have this blog. Oh, I want to write a book about this. Anyone relate? Like the initiator energy, of course, we're visionaries. We're entrepreneurs. That's what we're meant to do, is envision and innovate. And so the initiator aspect of ourselves is so powerful. It's that creative energy and spark. The thing is, there's two other pieces of us in this model that I'm discussing. There's the initiator, and then there's the doer. Now, the doer is the one who actually goes through all the tasks to get the thing going. It's the admin, it's the writing of the copy, it's the putting together the checkout for the new offer, right? And then the third aspect of self and aspect of the creative process is the completer. And this is the one that ties it up in a bow and says, here it is, it's ready. So what I found in my own life is my initiator can sometimes go ahead and initiate things before she's consulted the doer and the completer. And the doer and completer get really, really cranky, especially the doer, because it's like, I can't do all of this. And what can happen is then we have so many projects in the works and we're not necessarily able to complete them. And the completer's like, I'm happy to complete this, but I need some time to complete this. And that drains our energy. That is a cycle that a lot of entrepreneurs have as we move into initiation before we've got into momentum with the doing and the completing of the projects. So every year at November and December, and I've been doing this for decades, probably 20 years now, I do something called completing the incompletes, because I want to finish what I started before I start something new. So I have that conference between my initiator, my doer, and my completer. And I let the completer take the lead and say, hey, I want to complete these things before you're allowed to initiate anything new. And what does that do for us? It creates so much freedom, so much more creative energy. Not only that, trust in self. Because self-esteem, self-confidence, in my experience, erodes when I have unfinished tasks. You know, when projects aren't done, they weigh heavy. I'm thinking about them. You guys are nodding your head so you can relate. So what I'm going to ask you to do, we're going to get started on the process, and then I'm going to give you instructions and ask you to block out some more time to finish the process. But to get started, all you need is a piece of paper. And I personally recommend that you do your piece of paper more of a, what is this called? Horizontal. And I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath, get out your pen and paper, and just really relax into your being and bring your mind to presence and focus. And I'm going to have you make a list of things that are incomplete in different aspects of your life. And so the first aspect of your life is going to have to do with your home or car, garage, house. Do you have any incomplete tasks, things you've been wanting to do? Could be clean out a closet, wash the windows, reorganize the garage, get that front door stained. I don't know, whatever those projects in your home, your car that have been lingering. And I'm going to give you some time to just Make a list. Now, the next category, you might have more, you could come back to it. The next category is your business. What are some of the projects you haven't completed? What are some of the loops that you haven't closed? And I want to give you a little clue here. There might be some things you write down on this list that you decide you no longer want to be committed to completing, and the completion is to let them go and not finish them. And then there'll be many things on the list that you do want to finish. But is there like a half-written book that you keep thinking you might write, but you're not sure? What are the pieces? Are there any financial tasks that you need to do before the end of the year, or corporate tasks that you need to do before the end of the year? Are there any business communications that haven't been sent out?
I wish I had a bigger piece of paper.
Oh no, a long list. We'll grab another paper if you need it. Hi, Elena. All right. And I'm going to give you just a little bit more time on this one. Any
Quick question.
business-
Are we doing these vertically so that we can then go across?
Yeah, I'm going to have you write a couple other categories up top.
In other words, are our categories going across or are our categories going down? It's a visual.
Well, ultimately, you're going to have your tasks. You're going
Okay.
to set a goal date, and you're
There we
going to
go.
have
Okay.
like any details you need, and
Thank you.
eventually it'll look like that. And I'm going to send you all a handout. I've got this as an Excel sheet, so when I send the recording, you'll get that. The next category is health and personal or artistic projects. So are there any incomplete commitments you've made to yourself around your health or well-being? Any artistic or personal projects? If there's not a lot, that's fine. Don't try to make more than there is. Just what are the essential ones? And the next category is relationships. Do you have any incomplete communication? Maybe a resentment or someone you want to forgive. Maybe there's a conversation that you want to have to make amends for something you might have said or done. Are there any incomplete parts of your life that involve other people that you want to rectify?
I can't tell these people my truth. I just can't. It's too dangerous.
Yeah, there might be some beliefs coming up. There might be a time of discernment. And Linda will talk about that in a minute. So that's great. Thanks for voicing that. Sometimes the completion might not be a conversation with another person. Maybe the completion is a personal process, which could be writing a letter that you never send them and then burning it and having a ceremony, letting go and finding peace in that relationship. So it's not always that you need to communicate to the person. It could be that you need to find internally a resolution around how you're relating to that person, a forgiveness, a letting go, right? So I
Forgiving
would,
someone who will never change. That's a big
yeah,
one.
well, and it's your business to change you, not them. And that's such a beautiful, deep, deep understanding. Yeah. Willow, what were you going to say?
I was just gonna, I noticed the, that this is for completing projects. I noticed a lot of to-dos coming in. So that's, we're not putting that.
I
Like,
would put it in a big category. Like if it's like I close my corporate records for 2023. I'm not going to strategize yet all the to-dos that are required for that. I'm just going to have that be
Okay.
one big category.
just have like a brain dump of the to-dos, because it is different to me than the completing, but a lot, they kind of like go hand in hand. I'm noticing some of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because those tasks, those to-dos are building towards the bigger completions. Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha.
So let me explain the next steps that you can do, you know, on your own. And you might need to continue with this list, but the next steps are really what you're pointing to, Willow. If you take your list, which would likely be here, and then you mark down some details, a goal date to complete, and then an area to celebrate when it's done. So what your next step would be is to go through these. And then, for example, if one of them was closing my corporate files and I have a bunch of steps, I might jot those steps down for myself. It's becoming a project planning opportunity. And then I look at when is my goal date to complete this? And I might choose December 10th. Here's the most important part of this. For each item that you choose to complete, go to your calendar and mark out the amount of time you need to do it. So I'm going to go with the corporate minutes and the corporate files, you know, so maybe that takes me 2-hour segments. I need to go to my calendar and schedule that time. And this is where this becomes a really powerful exercise, because the completer is in charge. The initiator's on hold a little bit, right? And the completer's gonna get time in the calendar so that we can free up space for the new. The other thing that you want to do when you're looking at the list, I mentioned this a little bit earlier on. Let's say one of the incompletes, a creative project is, you know, a book of poetry you want to send to your friends, and you've started it. And you're looking at it and everything else on your complete list, and you're thinking about your priorities in your life. And you might ask yourself, is this still important to me? Is this still something I want to do? Or instead of a book of poetry, maybe I want to do something different and just post the poems that I have done on Facebook over the next year. You might decide you don't want to do it at all anymore. It doesn't matter. So you get to celebrate the completion by giving yourself a clarity that it's no longer yours to do. So when you look at the list, I really encourage you, is this mine to do? Is this mine to do this year, or by when? You might have some things spill out into January, February, that's fine. Or is this something I want to delete and say, I'm done with? It's carrying too much weight and heavy energy. And I don't think it's important anymore to me. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm not going to do it. Now you could revisit in 2 years and want to. Like I have a children's book that I just decided I'm not going to do that right now. I wrote it, it's in my computer, but it's not weighing heavy on me because I've made peace with myself about it. There might also be some things on your list that you can delegate. So you want to look at, what am I going to do and complete? What am I going to delete? And what am I going to delegate? And then for each item, what are some of the specific tasks? How long will this take me? Set a goal date, and then go to your calendar and schedule the time. And this ensures that we actually do it. What's exciting about this process for me, I feel so good as I go through this list and things get done. It becomes like a master list, and it becomes like a master celebration. And it's such a wonderful time of year to do this because we can bring it into our new year and our new creations. I'd love to answer any questions about the process. And I know you're still writing things down, which I really appreciate. Any questions about the process?
Yes, what comes after answering a question, what am I going to do, delete, or delegate on our lists?
After you decide what you're going to do, delete, or delegate, you write down some specifics of how it's going to get done, a few notes, but also how long you think it will take. You can either set a goal date for completion first, or you can go to your calendar and block out the time first, but you do need to do both. I recommend you do both. I invite you to block out the time and give yourself a goal date for completion. And then the final column is where you get to check it off and give yourself a gold star and celebrate.
Ah, so you write
So-
this columns ideally.
Yeah. So once again, I will be sending you tomorrow. I'll send out an email to everyone who registered, and you'll be able to download a handout and instructions on this.
Joy, what are your suggestions for the things that are ongoing? Like, my home list has lots of things that happen over and over.
So I would say that then you're doing them. They don't necessarily belong on this list because they're an activity, they're a maintenance, they're a sustainability. This is really more intended to what wants to end, what wants to come to completion, what's ready to be done. Yeah. Yeah. But if there are some things that are repeatedly showing up on your to-do, like maybe you do clean, ideally you probably could clean the junk drawer, this is an example, once, and then just keep it clean, right? But if it tends to get messy again, then it might show up on your list next year. So there might be some things that you want to reorganize so that the ongoing doing of them is easier for you. There might be some productivity ideas that would be helpful for you to integrate into your completing process. What I'd like to do is give you some time to interact in a small group. If there's another question about the process, I'll answer it. Otherwise, I'm gonna go into groups here. Okay, there'll be 3 of you in each room. And what I'd like you to do is first go ahead and find out who lives closest to the equator. That person's going to go first. And then you can move north. We're all from the Northern Hemisphere, and that next person will go second, and then the next person will go third. And you each have 2 minutes. So you want to get a timekeeper to share some of what you're learning about yourself. It's your time to share whatever you want, but how was this process for you? What came up for you? In what ways are you going to encourage yourself to do this? What insights do you personally have? And then the ones that are listening, it's just really an opportunity to hold witness and space for the other person who's likely we're all making some commitments to shore up our lives and close some loops, right? You might share how you feel you're going to feel at the other side of this. Okay, so I've got 3 people in a room, 2 minutes each. Closest to the equator goes first. I'll give you a little grace time because I know you'll want to say hi at the beginning. So I'll start the 2-minute timer after about a minute of meet and greet. Sound good? Okay. If you are not on camera, it would be great to get your camera on at this time.